Good evening or good morning to our American friends and partners. A very warm welcome to our Transatlantic Conference on Innovation. My name is Felix Neugart. I'm the CEO of NRW.Global Business, the new trade and investment agency of the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And I will be your host for the first part of this event tonight. And I'm glad that you've joined us to focus on innovative sectors, on technologies that offer cooperation potential between the state of North Rhine-Westphalia and the United States of America. And I believe that we meet at a very suitable point in time. On the one hand, with the end of the pandemic of COVID in sight, the US is back. The economy is gaining steam. The government is about to unleash a huge investment spending program, and probably most importantly, the American optimism is back. On the other hand, I believe that we here in North Rhine-Westphalia, we have a lot to offer to our American friends and partners. We are Germany's business powerhouse, its #1 investment location, and we have many, many innovative and globally successful companies. And against this background, we are poised. We want to develop our relationship with the United States of America and have organized this conference together with partners. On the one hand, the US Consulate General here in Düsseldorf and the American Chamber AmCham in Germany. And jointly with our partners, we put together, I believe, a very compelling program for this event for tonight. We have excellent examples of business relations in 3 future-oriented areas, such as 5G, additive manufacturing, and digital logistics. And we have a number of great, prominent panelists from good advanced companies and research institutions, such as Telecom, such as Quake, 3D Chromatics, the University of Paderborn, the Fraunhofer Institute for Material Flow, and last, but of course by no means least, Amazon. So I'm really glad that you joined us tonight. Before we deep dive into these innovative topics, we have a number of welcome speeches, and I would like to introduce now the first speaker to you. On the program, you have our Minister for Economics, Professor Andreas Pinkwart. He got stuck in a cabinet meeting. Maybe you heard that there are some recent political domestic developments in Germany, but he will join us quite soon. And therefore, until he is ready, I would like to ask now our Consul General here in Düsseldorf, Mrs. Fiona Evans, for her welcome speech. Fiona is already 3 years here in Düsseldorf. I think she has not only German roots, but she has managed to successfully represent the US here to become part of our international community in Düsseldorf. And I'm very glad, Fiona, that you are here with us tonight. Please, may I ask you for your welcome speech?
Sure. Thank you, Felix. Dear Minister Pinkwart, dear Felix, dear Karl-Uwe Buthoff, dear speakers from the Transatlantic Business Alliance, dear guests. Thank you for the invitation to speak tonight at the Transatlantic Conference on Innovation between the United States and North Rhine-Westphalia. I'm happy to be here and join this conference as a representative of the United States government. This event is so timely as this week, the US mission to Germany, our embassy, and 5 consulates throughout Germany are celebrating the rich history of German-American collaboration with our first ever Transatlantic Innovation Week. German-American collaboration has always had a strong emphasis on innovation. Fortifying the Transatlantic Innovation Bridge encourages economic prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic. It strengthens mutual security and helps us drive the partnership forward together. Our goals with Transatlantic Innovation Week are to shine a spotlight and celebrate the German-American partnership and leadership in innovation. We also want to raise awareness about the threats to that innovation, including theft of intellectual property rights, and to highlight the importance of diversity and inclusion as drivers of innovation and new ideas. Collaboration between our universities is a major driver of innovation and economic growth on both sides of the Atlantic. University partnerships and educational and professional exchanges continue to cultivate innovation, act as incubators for cutting-edge technology, and form a vital platform for new business. These connections between different cultures and people spark ideas and new ways of tackling obstacles. Later this week, at the NRW International 9th Nano Conference, Innovations in Materials and Applications, we have the perfect example of transatlantic innovation and the connections fostered through universities. An American scientist, Dr. Kimberly Hartstein, from the Californian company Nanocomposites, will be talking about gold nanoshells for next-generation targeted therapeutics and point-of-care diagnostics. This is a homecoming of sorts for Dr. Hartstein. She is a former research fellow with the Fulbright program who did her fellowship at Münster University. Why is innovation necessary, and what does innovation offer us? At the announcement of the $100 million Climate Innovation Research Opportunity in February, Gina McCarthy, President Biden's National Climate Advisor, said, "We are tapping into the imagination, talent, and grit of America's innovators, scientists, and workers to spearhead a national effort that empowers the United States to lead the world in tackling the climate crisis." Imagination, talent, and grit. That is what is at the heart of innovation. But it takes more than just those qualities. To foster innovation and innovative thinking, there needs to be encouragement and support from the very top, from the leadership. Timothy Clark wrote in the Harvard Business Review last year that one should encourage your team to disagree, dissent, and challenge the status quo. When an organization stops innovating, it is only a matter of time before it fails. And with Transatlantic Innovation Week, we aren't just talking about one organization or one entity. We are talking about a transatlantic partnership. A strong partnership means teaming up together to develop cutting-edge innovation, promoting open economies that benefit everyone, ensuring that our sensitive supply chains are resilient, setting the norms and standards that will govern emerging technologies, protect our planet, and impose cost on those who break the rules. My team gave me lots of recent examples from sectors that have witnessed rapid transformation and innovation, and where the transatlantic innovation was key to the development. We are turning the tide on the global pandemic of COVID-19 with a successful collaboration in the pharmaceutical sector with vaccine development. The unprecedented cooperation by scientists across institutions and borders, research that was indispensable to the discovery of several safe, effective COVID-19 vaccines in record time. The first of those vaccines, approved by the WHO, was pioneered by a German doctor born in Turkey who co-founded a European pharmaceutical company with his wife and partnered with an American counterpart to produce the vaccine. The success of BioNTech and Pfizer is a success shared by all of us. In the telecommunications 5G sector, we have the example of collaboration between Deutsche Telekom and two US players, Microsoft and Adtran. Last year, Deutsche Telekom strengthened its relationship with broadband access technology specialist Adtran of Alabama for the deployment of software-defined optical line terminal systems and management tools for its next-gen Access 4.0 rollouts and its future access architecture. Likewise, Microsoft Azure and Deutsche Telekom signed a 7-year joint growth agreement at the end of last year to enhance services to customers and support each other with digitalization and network build-out. The technology partnership also includes cloud-based IT systems at schools across Germany and of remote learning software so urgently needed during the pandemic. In e-commerce logistics, we see American giants like Amazon, UPS, and FedEx working to strengthen supply chains across the United States and Europe. Many small e-commerce providers use these platforms to sell to a larger audience they could not reach alone. We see innovation drivers for the logistics and supply chain, such as Californian MongoDB, having set up shop at the Startport Accelerator Center in Duisburg Harbor. By the way, one of the guest speakers from the US, Chromatic 3D, a US 3D printing innovator, is now also located in Startport. And from there, they serve major customers such as Deutsche Bahn for 3D printing of spare parts. And as for 3D printing in healthcare, German University Hospital Mainz pioneered surgical planning for life-saving vascular surgeries with Stratasys PolyJet 3D printers. The use of 3D printed models for surgical planning has resulted in a significant reduction in costs when designing and fitting implants, and the hospital reported relevant time savings during surgery and an improvement in patient outcomes. And a third example, Pro3Dur Medical, a spin-off of Dortmund University and first mover in 3D implants for dental and hearing, has established its business in Minnesota and is selling successfully in the US market. All of these examples show that innovation is a driver. They also show that we must modernize our alliances, look beyond government to the private sector, civil society, philanthropies, cities, and universities. Diverse, broad-based cooperation is essential to protecting the resources that all people have a right to share and benefit from, and which are now being encroached upon by our adversaries. Transatlantic collaboration is already happening and at the forefront of solving the world's most pressing issues, such as climate science, uses of advanced technology, defense, and virology. Approaches by institutions addressing socioeconomic challenges through the intersection of education, knowledge exchange, and investment in research and corporate partnerships make them stand out as motors of innovation and entrepreneurship, but also as a firewall for disinformation and malign influence from our adversaries. Energizing institutional partnerships and connections fuel engines of social change, stability, and democratic values. With that, they form the backbone of the entrepreneurial and broader social landscape. Just as a bridge built from each side creates a benefit for all, transatlantic innovation drives our partnership forward, producing tangible benefits in Germany, the United States, and beyond. Thank you to our host, the NRW Economics Ministry and NRW.Global Business for showcasing our innovation partnership during Transatlantic Innovation Week.
Thank you so much, dear Fiona, for this welcome speech, for the many interesting illustrative examples that you provided of German and American companies collaborating on innovative topics, and of course for your call for a future of innovation between our two countries. Let me now introduce to you our second welcome speaker, Professor Andreas Pinkwart. He made it just in time. He's the minister, let me put it like this, for almost everything that is important to businesses in North Rhine-Westphalia. Minister for Economics, for Innovation, for Digitalization, and for Energy. Minister Pinkwart, we're very glad that you're with us here tonight. The floor is yours.
Dear Ms. Consul General Evans, dear Mr. Sportolari, dear Mr. Neugart, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the first Transatlantic Conference on Innovation. It's a great pleasure to have you with us. Although the current circumstances do not allow us to meet in person, I'm glad that NRW.Global Business could organize today's event together with its partners. Our goal is not only to strengthen our economic relationship, but also our deep friendship to the people of the United States of America. I'm sure that we will soon have the opportunity of physical meetings and exchanges again. Perhaps during my planned trip to North America during the upcoming fall. If you did not already know, my homeland is the federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia, the most populous and economically strongest part of Germany. North Rhine-Westphalia, or short NRW, offers great innovative potentials and capabilities. Furthermore, we are proud of our deep and long-lasting transatlantic partnership to the United States of America, and we learn from the General Consular these great examples of common partnerships. There are more than 180,000 employees working for over 1,500 US companies here in NRW. Every 8th US American in Germany lives in North Rhine-Westphalia. The 25 twinning agreements between cities in the United States and North Rhine-Westphalia are also an expression of our good relationship. Despite the pandemic and its impact on almost every part of our everyday lives, both of our economies and our partnership continue to grow. However, the COVID-19 situation also impressively demonstrated remote working, remote schooling, and changing habits in leisure time like streaming and gaming require high-performance communications infrastructure. Our digitized lives need gigabit-capable broadband connections and strong mobile networks, strong grids. As a key technology for the digital transformation, the 5G mobile communications generation will lay the foundation for furthering the industrial digitization. The art of 5G in Germany beats in North Rhine-Westphalia. The 5G rollout in our state is running at full speed. 2 years after the frequency auction, we have installed about almost 4,000 5G extensions in our state. However, this is just the beginning. We recently published our 5G mobile strategy, which sets the course for 5G expansion and pursues our goal of taking a leading role in 5G. Digitization and innovation are the keys to successfully implementing all of the above. In 2017, we founded the first Ministry for Digitization and Innovation in Germany, here in North Rhine-Westphalia, in order to approach the different aspects of the digital revolution in an integrated manner. Digitization and thus innovation challenge production and value-added chains massively, especially in highly industrialized countries like the US and Germany. In the areas of product development and industrial production, 3D printing or additive manufacturing is one of the central innovations and hardware drivers for digitization. In fact, additive manufacturing is the twin of digitization. Expertise in the areas of engineering, production, and craft is still necessary. In North Rhine-Westphalia, it is particularly available with our excellent research landscape, our renowned dual system of training, and our state's long history of industry, as well as small and medium-sized so-called hidden champions. To a certain extent, additive manufacturing serves as an entry-level technology and host for digitization. Our aim is to support the efforts to increase the speed of innovation, such as the ability to bring new, high-quality products to market faster. As an example, I'm very proud that we could build up a common excellent research center for additive manufacturing together with Boeing at our university in Paderborn more than 10 years ago, and that this center works until today very successfully. Additive manufacturing offers many opportunities. As knowledge about it becomes more available and applied, there is considerable potential. However, digitization and innovation do not only have an enormous impact on new technologies, but also on established industries. With a strong infrastructure, a central location in Europe, and an overall excellent expertise, North Rhine-Westphalia is one of the big players in logistics, both nationally and internationally. Our state is a central logistics hub in Europe. The best location, conditions, and one of the leading growth sectors in North Rhine-Westphalia mean that more than 24,000 logistics companies with 364,000 employees are located in our state. These companies generate an annual turnover of 68 billion euros. Around a quarter of all logistics centers in Germany are located here in North Rhine-Westphalia. 9 of the top 25 largest logistics companies have their headquarters here. Overall, logistics takes in trade and industry employ over 712,000 people. We offer the best conditions in Europe for foreign new settlements, starting from successful startups like the Dutch company Picnic to global companies best represented by Frank Sportolari and UPS from the United States. Innovations like the blockchain technology are changing many processes in logistics. One example is smart Europallet. Instead of paper waybills and sometimes tedious manual billing processes, users may bill goods in real time using a blockchain and smart contracts. Another example is a digitized customs clearance. The use of blockchain technology in these areas allows more efficient processes and securer transactions. As you can see, North Rhine-Westphalia has a lot to offer regarding all of these innovative topics we want to go through deeper this night. I'm certain that today's conference and our upcoming discussions will show you more of the great potentials that the United States and North Rhine-Westphalia share. I wish all of you an interesting event, helpful insights, and a more deepened collaboration with all of you in the upcoming months and years.
Thank you very much, Minister Pinkwart, for your welcome speech, for highlighting the advantages that North Rhine-Westphalia offers to international partners. And let me put it like this. This was your opening move. We are very glad that you will be with us throughout the evening, and we will soon hear from you again. Let me bring in now our third partner for organizing this event, AmCham, the American Chamber in Germany. And we are joined digitally from Frankfurt by Daniel Andrich, who is actually an old hand in transatlantic relations. He used to be the head of the German business representation in Washington, D.C., and now he's the general manager of AmCham Germany. Daniel, pleasure to have you. Please, may I ask you for your welcome speech?
Thank you very much, Felix, and thank you, NRW.Global Business, for the great cooperation over the last years. I hope you can hear and see me. This is part of the innovative process between Frankfurt, where I'm based, and NRW. So I'm happy to address only a very brief and few remarks for the sake that everybody is probably eager to learn more from the true experts rather than from me what the challenges and opportunities with regard to innovation and the transatlantic relation is. I would like to say that AmCham Germany's members are both US-owned entities in Germany, but also German companies who are interested in the US market and who are active in the transatlantic marketplace. These are not only big corporations, but a lot of small and medium-sized companies. And we have a strong footprint within our membership in NRW, which is a great region to work with for our federal organization. And as you know, to give some credibility here, the current president, but also the former president of AmCham Germany, all represent companies which are based, US-owned entities, which are based in NRW. Thank you very much, Minister Pinkwart. Thank you, Counsel General Fiona Evans, for your remarks. You alluded to a lot of important points in the field of innovation. So I will just highlight a few things from our perspective when it comes to one important issue for our organization and the transatlantic business community, the revitalization of transatlantic economic relations. And there we very much focus on 3 points. And we have a great window of opportunity, of course, with the new administration in place as of January 2021, but also with the current German government and the new German government after the election in fall. And we basically focus on 3 issues here, which would benefit the transatlantic business community, both in a general sense, but also help to create innovation and a business-friendly environment. I think what is needed still is that we all work on the fact to restore trust by creating a reliable business framework, a political framework, and restore trust in political processes and institutions, both in the US, within the US, but also as a partner on, addressing global challenges together with other partners. And I think this should really very much be a focus of the political decision makers within the next months and years to come, because uncertainty is always not helpful for creating business, and we all need a business and friendly environment for the rebound after the pandemic. Second, that we reduce trade, commercial, and investment barriers in the transatlantic marketplace. I think we have a good momentum here and a good start with the truce in the Airborne Boeing case, which hopefully is only one first step for a final solution in this dispute. But a lot of more steps need to be done, both in the tariff side, but also on the non-tariff barrier side, so that we on both sides of the Atlantic can really work together and foster our relationship. And third, the transatlantic cooperation and find joint transatlantic solutions for the global challenges. A lot of those have been addressed by Fiona and by Minister Pinkwart himself. In the healthcare sectors, I'm never getting tired to say that both of our members, a small biotech company and a huge corporation, Pfizer, developed and produced the first vaccine in this regard, which really helped to fight the pandemic on both sides of the Atlantic and globally. Be it in the area to create a rules-based global trading system, which would be beneficial for a lot of companies at NRW, but also a lot of companies within the transatlantic business community to really address challenges by unfair trade practices and seek for cooperation and global collaboration to address these challenges in the multilateral framework. And third, in the sector of digital transformation, by creating a sort of joint transatlantic digital agenda. Our members think that this would require that business can really rely on a transatlantic data space in which data, or which would provide a legal, secure, and sustainable framework that ensures the same level of protection for data transfer. In this regard, the current situation after the decision by the European Court of Justice has created a lot of legal uncertainties for companies that needs to be resolved, probably and best in the political solution. Another area of huge potential is, of course, and the Minister and Counsel General Fiona Evans addressed those points in the sector of artificial intelligence. As for innovations in tech, we think that a close cooperation here between government, the business sector, the industry, especially in NRW, but also educational institutions, science institutions like Fraunhofer is key to really work together here between Germany and the US, also with reference to setting standards at some point. I will leave it here so Felix can take over here, and we're all eager to hear from the true experts now on the panel discussion, who might have answers to all the questions I just raised, way more than I could have ever done it. So I really enjoy being here with you. Thank you very much for the great cooperation. I'm looking forward for a great event and an insightful discussion, and I hand it over back to Felix. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, also for pointing to the importance of the political environment in which our endeavor to improve, to highlight transatlantic cooperation on innovation takes place. It's a pleasure. We're glad to have you as a partner in this event, not only you, but of course, AmCham and also Frank Sportolari. Ladies and gentlemen, Minister Pinkwart has already highlighted a number of qualities that make North Rhine-Westphalia special. Let me add a few facts that, in my view at least, make North Rhine-Westphalia a very suitable business partner for companies from the United States of America. You can see on the first slide that North Rhine-Westphalia is easily the largest state in Germany in terms of its GDP size. Almost 700 billion euros make it larger than any other German federal state. And this economic strength is based on two pillars. On the one hand, we have a vibrant service sector, growing service sector. On the other hand, we are still strongly industry-oriented with an industry ratio of 27%. Our companies are already very advanced in terms of digitalization. In the digitization index, we have an above average in the German context score, and more than 25% of ICT revenues in Germany are actually created here in North Rhine-Westphalia. And third, and the minister already pointed to it, we are Germany's talent pool with around 770,000 students in 68 higher education institutions. Now, if we look at the trade relationship between NRW, North Rhine-Westphalia, and the United States of America, we see that there's a very substantial trade relationship which has been growing over the last 10 years. And if we discount the last year, 2020, which was in many ways, of course, special, we see that at the peak 2018, 2019, we had a trade volume import and exports combined of around 23 billion euro. And if you take a brief look at the goods and services that are traded, we on the right side of the graph or of the slide that you are seeing, we see the export sectors. So 1/4 of NRW's export to the US is machinery, a fifth is around chemical products, and a 10th of these exports come from the automotive sector, vehicles and vehicle parts. And on the other hand, we have the imports here from the US to North Rhine-Westphalia. Here these are dominated by pharmaceutical products and again by chemical products, which have around 1/5 of the import volume. And then at around 1/10 comes data processing equipment, electronic and optical products. Now, if you take a look at the investment relationship, we see that the United States is the second largest investor, foreign investor in North Rhine-Westphalia. We have around 1,530 companies with American majority ownership who are active, who are present here in North Rhine-Westphalia. And these numbers are growing actually. If you look at the last 10 years, you see that from this slide, for the last 4 years, American investors created with distance most jobs created by foreign investors in North Rhine-Westphalia. And therefore, I think we have a very solid and intensifying partnership. And Let's have a brief look at some of the companies which are present here in North Rhine-Westphalia, and without mentioning any names, you see there are some who have been here for many, many years, but also some new companies who we as NRW or NRW Invest earlier helped to set up shop to invest here in North Rhine-Westphalia. And based on this, I think, platform, we want to go into the future, and this is actually also the purpose of this evening. We want to kick off the continuous development of an innovation dialogue of cooperation on innovative topics such as artificial intelligence, smart and smooth logistics, 5G, or Industry 4.0, or any other that fits this category. And we will do this definitely in close collaboration with our international offices. We have currently 2 offices as NRW.Global Business in the United States of America. One is in Chicago, headed by Arian Zandir. This is the young man you see here in the middle of this slide. And a new head for our office in Silicon Valley, Kolja Reis. And I may add to this that we are in the process, on track to open a 3rd office in the United States of America, which will be in the south of the US. Thank you very much for your attention up to this point. I would like now to give the floor to my co-host tonight, Professor Clemens Skibikci. He will introduce definitely himself. He is a professor, an entrepreneur, an investor, something of everything. And I'm very glad, Clemens, that you're here with us tonight. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Felix. Yes, I'm a little bit of everything, but interesting introduction, yes. Yeah, professor, investor, and so on, but most of the time I spent my time with companies talking about the digital transformation process. And why I'm so fascinated is that originally I'm an economic historian, therefore I take my glasses, looks more like a professor. If you see this lineup here, I tell you, I will definitely forget all your titles, so many doctors and professors and whatever. But in the end, just tell me, what is so fascinating about this process? We are coming from the industrial regime and the economic production system, which made countries like Germany rich, and now we're going over to the digitally connected economy. And being a part of this right in the middle is so fascinating for me. So we will talk a little bit. We have only around about an hour or less for doing a deep dive in 3 panels. 3 panels about, one is 5G applications, one is additive manufacturing, and the 3rd one is digital logistics. We could have used many more, but we have so lovely experts, a wonderful lineup here and online. So we will do a deep dive there. And if you have questions on the way, we have for each topic around about 15 minutes. If you have questions, please use our online chat, and we will later on then do a big round where we talk about your questions. So you see a wonderful lineup. I will introduce all these experts when we come to the topics. And one expert you see here right now, you don't see here right now, is Priscilla Pesci. She is online right now in Los Angeles from Quake Capital. Hi, Priscilla, how are you doing? It must be breakfast time in Los Angeles. We will start with the first topic, 5G applications, because you are a wonderful partner between the US and the state of North Rhine-Westphalia here, especially from the last year, and we'll talk about this a little bit. So I hope you're fine. I've seen yesterday when we talked for a short time, it was 30 degrees Celsius, and I envy you a little bit about that. So you're co-founder and managing global director of Quake Capital, and you're located in New York, Austin, and Los Angeles. You are right now online in Los Angeles. Could you please tell us a little bit, what does Quake Capital do?
Yeah, of course. First, I'd like to just thank the NRW Economic Ministry and NRW.Global Business for the opportunity to participate in this panel. Very excited to do that. In terms of Quake Capital, we are in our 3rd year. We are an early seed stage venture firm and accelerator, ranked top 10 lead investor and top 10 seed investor by Forbes. We are the 2nd most active global investor for female founders and pride ourselves on diversity. In fact, we are #1 in the world, ranked for over 3,000 accelerators as the #1 in diversity and inclusion, and #2, ranked by Crunchbase, 2%, top 2% for exits. And we are the youngest actual venture firm within that ranking. So that we're in our 3rd year, as I mentioned, and we have $100 million US fund that we are currently raising for. In terms of, excuse me, go ahead.
Sorry, but last year you were running an accelerator program for 5G applications here in Germany and North Rhine-Westphalia. And could you tell us a little bit that what was the main reason? Why did you choose a location for this wonderful program, Cologne? Besides, it's my hometown, but this was not probably the case. Could you tell us a little bit about the choice of this location?
It's very befitting because I was actually introduced to NRW by one of your colleagues, Dr. Kaibula, who introduced me and invited me to speak at a conference. And when I arrived, it was very clear to me that the territory was an economic powerhouse. And to me, it was evident that it was untapped, buoyant industry and ecosystem. So I was very excited to discover that and began to unlock that opportunity, incentivized, I think, by what you're doing in 5G.
And could you tell us what was the program all about? What did you really do there with these teams?
Yes, so we launched the first B2C global immersive media accelerator in the world, which we could not have done without our outstanding partners, of course, NRW, Deutsche Telekom, Hubram, MobileEdgeX, RTL, Deloitte, FC Köln, and SK Gaming. And so what we did was work with these industry leaders on developing use cases that had direct applications and solving commercial problems in 5G technology, which was very exciting. So in doing that, we created a new program that we designed, which was very pragmatic in the sense that by addressing the use cases with these multinationals, we were able to help our companies scale very quickly, our entrepreneurs, as they're providing solutions and innovation, but also helping the multinationals to be more nimble in terms of how they approach the commercial marketplace.
So, and I mean, we had COVID-19 restrictions. How did it work? So it's like from remote.
Well, I was very disappointed because I really love Cologne. I really enjoy the city and the people, and have been just welcomed there, and was very excited to launch the accelerator there, which we plan to do on premises, actually, at the Deutsche Telekom headquarters. However, with COVID literally hit when we were launching our program. Great minds prevailed, I think, with all the partners. We teamed together and decided to launch the cohort virtually, which we did. And we had a team on the ground in Germany, led by Parul Madan, who's amazing. And of course, I was here in Los Angeles, and we launched this virtual cohort tirelessly across 6 time zones globally.
Okay, interesting. Everything is possible, even during these strange times. Okay, you talked about your partners, and one of them you mentioned was Deutsche Telekom, and this gives me the opportunity to introduce our second expert in this lineup, Dr. Abdul Mudazir. Hello.
Thank you very much.
You are Senior Vice President Services Platforms at Deutsche Telekom.
Correct.
And you were a partner here in this project for especially these 5G applications. So actually, to be honest, 5G is a lot of promises to me and to many others out there. It's not really tangible so far. So it's faster, cheaper, no latency time, and whatever. Could you tell us a little bit what is 5G for? What is about these promises, and why would you part in this project?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me here. It's a great privilege to be here and talk about 5G and our partnership in general. So, yes, 5G has been a mystery since a while, but to be very frank, in the mobile industry, we've had a next generation almost every 10 years coming up. So we had 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. So it was not such a big surprise that we had the next generation. But the beauty of this next generation, as the minister also highlighted previously, is that it's not only focused on consumers, but also enables a lot of the industry use cases that usually required specialized communication technology. And what we have done, of course, together with Quick, was more focused on consumer use cases, for which you need a wide coverage, you need high throughput, that's speed, you need faster response time, that's latency, and you need some sort of reliability that you don't have jitters. And that is really the foundation, what allows us then to have applications together with our partners to test out AR, augmented reality, solving real-life problems. And I think one of the framework that was just discussed, what we've done a little bit differently is that in addition to our Deutsche Telekom Hubraum team, which is our team, we have also included our commercial team, which was also bringing in commercial real-life problems. And so we were able to test. So in a nutshell, 5G is faster, is much higher speed, it is also responsive network. And I'm glad in Germany we've been very effective in rolling out 5G. We have already 80% population coverage as of now, 50,000 antennas with 5G. And we plan to have, as announced by our German CEO, by end of the year, 90% population coverage here in Germany.
Oh, happy to hear this. Do you see any difference between the US and Germany when it comes to 5G?
I think what is the same, first off, we want to be the 5G leader. We want to be technology leader. And we've done that also with our US Un-carrier strategy, 5G for all. So in the US as well, we have today a nationwide 5G coverage accessible for 280 million people. So we have that in the low band. We also have this ultra high speed 5G, what we call the mid-band 5G, already available for more than 100 million customers. And we will, until end of the year, make that also available for over 200 million customers. So we have that similarity, but at the same time, the technology has differences, right? We had a much better LTE coverage in Germany that we leverage by introducing what is called non-standalone 5G technology, which still partially relies on 4G, while in the US, we started more on 5G standing by its own. But we also bring that technology to Germany. Our partnership with the SDFC Cologne and others here is also with standalone 5G technology. So we really leverage our know-how in the US, but also our know-how here in Germany, where we are a lot more advanced in one or another areas.
Okay, for you out there, SDFC Köln, best soccer team in Germany. Not really, but it's my hometown. So anyway, I'm really happy about this. We were talking about the accelerator program.
Yes.
For your company in this partnership, what were the learnings or the benefits of it? What do you see there?
I think one of the first learnings is that accelerator programs can only work if you have real life problems. So the problem was that you have smaller startups, they were struggling by themselves, addressing some problems, but not meeting the, let's say, the bigger business partners. And it's exactly what Quick has done, bringing in these startups in a more structured way, bringing in also different industry giants like RTL and ourselves and others, and giving these partners a platform to test the technology that they bring to address our business problem and ultimately the humanities problem. And that's what we've seen with a number of examples in the AR area. So augmented reality, where you could share your memories of your family, your own, and in such time like COVID that we have nowadays, it's actually very relevant that you have an opportunity to share that, to bring this real life, so reality with the virtual world together. And that's exactly what we've been able to capture in this accelerator program.
So, yeah, good, interesting. So, Mr. Pinkwart, I guess here we have two partners from the US and the German side, and seems like a wonderful relationship. Everybody's happy. So what can we learn? How can we use that as to tell others, hey guys, dear partners in the US, this is why you should cooperate here, and the other way around? What can we learn there?
I think that's an excellent example, and I'm very grateful that Priscilla Pesci is with us and organized this accelerator program. Also from Los Angeles, that's also due to our new technologies like 5G that we are capable to collaborate very closely in time by using these grids and these opportunities. And I think there are a lot of more opportunities to stay closer, to exchange our minds and interests, and to invest also in common activities. And I think that your example it could be copied also by others. There are a lot of opportunities here in North Rhine-Westphalia. There are excellent companies, but also very interesting startups from our universities, and that's exactly what we do promote, that we try to foster the spin-off activities of our universities. We fund startup excellence centers at our excellent universities like the University of Cologne or the Technical University of Aachen, only to give you two examples. And we give a lot of money to the universities that they install an ecosystem for PhD students and scientists when they identified excellent research results which they can use for innovation, that they can start up their own business, that they find the business angels and the VCs. And there we are sure that in the upcoming months and years we can strengthen our excellent opportunities. Here we are number one if you count the numbers of startups in Germany, and you see them in Cologne as well as in Düsseldorf or Dortmund or Münster and other places. And I think this is a special time where we not only discuss business to consumer startups, but a lot of business models in the field of business to business, especially in the 5G world, but also in other technologies. This is a rich environment because we have here the industry, we have here the so-called Mittelstand, so a lot of partners for startups, and we have telecom and others who can combine. And therefore, I love your activities. And if I may add, we are here all men on the stage. I'm very glad that you support women entrepreneurship and more diversity. That's exactly what we also want to get for North Rhine-Westphalia, much more. So please also visit us in person. You are highly welcome here, and you will identify also a lot of women lead companies here in North Rhine-Westphalia, and I do hope that you will support them also in future.
Talking about the future, Priscilla, okay, besides diversity, we are now looking for the next accelerator program. You told me that you are planning to do something similar in the future, but last time it was a focus pretty much on entertainment and immersive technologies. And Mr. Pinkwart talked about the B2B context. Will it be the next accelerator program? Will it be open to all industries and all B2B cases, or again the focus like last time?
We're going to focus similarly as the last time, but add in mobility so that we can engage some B2B opportunities as well. And I think that we can begin to expand in that direction going forward. So that way we could work with automotive companies in the territory as well as telco, and provide various opportunities, and again, addressing specific pain points.
Good to hear. Mr. Buttes here, you're starting this accelerator program again. Do you see already in the industry more need, or do the companies ask for the 5G application? Do you see that, or is it still that they are waiting until, I don't know, for whatever development?
No. Actually, they are definitely not waiting. We see a very strong interest from different industries, be it automotive, manufacturing, logistics. They're all excited and interested in having a really widely deployed technology like 5G address their business pain point. And that's why we've seen a lot of traction also with our 5G campus solution that we are deploying in these different industry partners, where they are connecting their robotic solution directly to our cellular technology. And they're able also to have the ability to introduce mobility, as Priscilla spoke about, that if you have a connection in different factories, you are not only stuck in one factory technology that is not transferable to another. And so we have seen a lot of traction. We see also the support from the state here, and in terms of funding, in terms of encouragement, that the industry are also asking us to consult, sometimes to apply even together. And that has created also more opportunity to collaborate. And so, no, the industries are not waiting, and I'm glad they are not. And they're definitely working with us in the 5G campuses.
Okay, then we are definitely at the right time. One last question for you, because you're in a Transatlantic Conference, and this has two sides. Yes. So Deutsche Telekom over here, everybody knows them, but you are pretty successful in T-Mobile infrastructure in the US with your subsidiary. Yes. What was the recipe others maybe could learn from?
Indeed, we are very, very successful, and I'm really glad, as you probably have seen in our last financial report, as Deutsche Telekom Group, now we are more than 100 billion revenue company, so it's very big, and a lot of the success also we owe it to our US market. What was the success story? Frankly speaking, I would say very simple. We are very good at listening to our customers. And that is exactly what we did in the last years. We listened to our customers, and we tried to understand their pain point, and we came up with the strategy of Un-carrier. This long contract problem, stickiness that not able to change from one to one. We removed all of that, and that's exactly the story of the Un-carrier, made quality the center point, really offered the best network, and also did a very wise acquisitions with Sprint right now, and made 5G for all. And I think at the center of all of this is really being able to listen to the customer and react. And that's exactly what our management team in the US did excellently, and positioned us both in the technology leadership as well as the business success.
Okay, so cooperation, leadership, let's learn from another. This is, I think, the key for everything. Mr. Pinkwart, we have, besides Deutsche Telekom, we have the second biggest player, Vodafone, also here in North Rhine-Westphalia. So we should be really at the heart of the innovation when it comes to 5G, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as it was mentioned, we have a lot of excellent examples in our companies. There have been installed the Factory 5.0 companies here in North Rhine-Westphalia, also for car production, organized with 5G. So the interaction of machines and workers with 5G. So in very high speed interaction, very, very close interaction in our plants. We support this industry, this machinery industry, so that they can support car manufacturers, but also other industries by these production lines, where you have the Internet of Things, interconnection of robots and workers, supported by 5G. But we have also very nice projects which we fund by our state with our hospitals, where 5G is used to making sure that the best doctors came together in the operation room and can interact. Also in a long distance, so experts from California can directly interact with doctors here in North Rhine-Westphalia and vice versa. That's, I think, a real progress which we can use. And there's also, I had the great opportunity together with your member of board last Friday at the University of Bonn, where we could start such a 5G project with the University Clinic of Bonn for this 5G surgery activities. So a lot of great examples. Also autonomous driving is using 5G. There we have a lot of companies who are suppliers for our car industry and work on this field. So a lot of these examples are just on work and have been installed, and especially the Mittelstand is supported by a competence network, 5G competence network, which we established here in North Rhine-Westphalia, where we closely work together with universities and the companies to bring them these technologies, and they are very open-minded to share also these technologies with others and to collaborate here.
Okay, we could talk about probably the whole night about this topic because it's going to be a fascinating game changer, I guess, because most of the things we cannot imagine so far, but especially autonomous driving. This is, for me, would be perfect. I know many Germans love to drive on the Autobahn fast, and I would say, no, it's much more practical to just sit in the car. So, Priscilla Pesci, next time, let's please soon come to us. Yeah, I know remote work is possible. We see that right now, but actually, I have to introduce you to this wonderful country here. We have to drink probably a Kölsch or Altbier. These are the local beers over here. I don't know, whatever you want, and have you here next time in person. So I say, for this topic, 5G, now for a couple of minutes, goodbye to LA, but we will have you later on a big round when we have the question and answer round. So, coming, Mr. Modesi, of course, also, you will stay also, you will stay here. So we come into our second topic. This is, the second topic is all about additive manufacturing. Actually, to be honest, I know only 3D printing before, I knew before, and therefore I have two experts on my right and my left. On my right, I have Dr. Bart Engendahl, CEO from Chromatic 3D Materials. And Dr. Christian Lindemann, Managing Director of the, I have to look it up, Direct Manufacturing Research Center at the University of Paderborn. And additive manufacturing, is it much more than 3D printing?
Yeah, so in the common public, the two wordings are used commonly.
Okay.
For me, it's kind of a difference. 3D printing is the small printers underneath €1,000, and additive manufacturing for me is something that can be used in airplanes, that can be used in medical systems, which is really a professional production system.
Okay. And where do we stand in North Rhine-Westphalia when it comes to research for this topic?
So especially in North Rhine-Westphalia, we are on a very good level. So North Rhine-Westphalia even has been the cradle of metal additive manufacturing on the axis of Paderborn and Aachen. So these two cities were especially involved in creating metal additive manufacturing on the powder bed. And a couple of years ago, so in 2008, our research center was founded, and even there it was not such a trending topic as it is right now. So in 2014, there was coming a hype about 3D printing, additive manufacturing, and North Rhine-Westphalia was already investing in 2008 on behalf of the Boeing company. They created a research center over here. Yes, also a US-German partnership. And as we heard already, North Rhine-Westphalia is a fascinating state, and there's a lot of technology leaders over here uptaking the technology. So we have machine manufacturers for additive manufacturing systems over here. We have material producers for additive manufacturing in North Rhine-Westphalia, and a lot of research is going on as well. So Paderborn is one of the big centers, which is internationally renowned. Aachen is one of the big ones, Duisburg, Essen. So we have a really good basis in North Rhine-Westphalia with regards to companies who are uptaking the technology and giving the universities challenges on what to research on.
Okay. So guys, for you, if you're out there, if you do not all the name of the cities, everything is very close together. That's all I can tell you about this. You mentioned this airline company, Boeing, in this case. Is it very suitable for some industry more than others, 3D printing, or is it applicable for everybody?
Yes, so currently it's more applicable for some industries. So especially in the aerospace, we started off as additive manufacturing is a complete new way of production. So normally we start thinking of a big block and taking materials away. With additive manufacturing, we need to rethink design. So we only need to think, what do I really need? So it's a different kind of mindset. And over there, we can have a lot of weight savings. So typically, when we design an aerospace part, we can have around 80%, 60 to 80% of weight savings, which you can easily imagine has a big impact on the environment. And as on, for example, on fuel savings and others. And we can make a lot more parts through the geometrical freedom, a lot more efficient than they've been before. So it's a very green technology, kind of. And yes, we can produce lot size 1. So that is one of the really good things, that we are especially good for industries where individualization is needed, where we have a high degree of complexity, and where we benefit from additional functions, or we benefit from lightweight design, which we will see in all the scenarios for the future mobility, for example.
Okay. So you come from a very long history of research, long comparably to other industries. Bart, you're representing a fascinating young company, a startup.
Yeah.
So what does Chromatic 3D Materials do?
So we specialized in producing rubber spare parts by additive manufacturing. So when you want to produce a rubber part that goes as a spare parts, you're solving one of the big issues that was recently highlighted by the Ever Given being stuck in that anonymous channel there in Suez. And that is that you have long lead times for spare parts to reach your to reach the destination. And if you are running a train company, or if you have other investment vehicles that you want to keep running, you better make sure that your spare parts are always there. And that's why there's huge storage facilities all over Europe to house these spare parts. And it would be a lot more economical for the customer to be able to just have a file and on demand print that spare parts. And Chromatic has focused on developing the materials that are needed to do this industrial 3D printing, this additive manufacturing of those flexible components, which is fairly unique in industry.
So you talked about rubber, and maybe what are the limitations of the material?
That is always a function of the technology you're using. So there is metal, there is plastics, there is rubber, there is tissue 3D printing, tissue additive manufacturing for medicals. And when you talk about what are the limitations of the material, you always have to look, what's your application, what's the technology you're using. So certainly what Dr. Lindemann described in his metal printing, you can't process rubber with it. And with our printers, you couldn't process a metal. But for the materials that we develop, we took industrial relevant materials, stuff that is already used in current machinery, and we designed a 3D printing process that is very close to the current way these materials are processed, and thereby are the only ones who are capable of making spare parts that actually service the same lifetime as currently traditionally manufactured spare parts.
Okay, I can learn a lot, I can see here. So the founder of your company, Dr. Cora Leibig, has an interesting background. She's an MIT former student, and then later on worked in the fields of chemistry, 3D printing, and software. Good combination that I didn't see so much. When you last year, when they founded last year this first subsidiary, why did you choose North Rhine-Westphalia?
So the main focus by choosing North Rhine-Westphalia was for the customer base. I talked about investment articles, machinery that we service with our spare parts business. And you have those all over Central Europe. Central Europe really is a hub for industrial innovation, as we call it. And if you draw a line between Berlin and Paris, and between Amsterdam and Budapest,
here we are.
Here we are, bit south of Cologne, actually. And then, of course, there is a great talent pool with the universities that have already been highlighted by Professor Pinkwart, and quite frankly, the transportation industry with airports, Amsterdam, Düsseldorf, Brussels being close, a good train network. It's the ideal place to be in basically every capital of Europe within 5 hours from where we are here.
The industrial heart. One of the
industrial heart, yeah, sure.
And Europe, yes. Mr. Pinkwart, interesting in this case with Bart is also that he is not located in the bigger cities in North Rhine-Westphalia, not in Cologne, not Düsseldorf, Bielefeld, whatever you take, but in Heinsberg.
Well, it's a great place to go.
Yeah, but this is more or less, this is more, I would not say countryside, because everything here is pretty close to cities, but how can we promote that or push this forward, that we get, in a connected world, digitally connected world, actually, we don't need this population density of the city so much. So what can we do this? I mean, looking also to Mr. Moody's here, right? Like 5G, then we could be everywhere. So be faster
and all the other grids, they are important in the digital world. But there are very short ways from Heinsberg to Aachen to Cologne to other places around. You are in more or less 2 hours in Brussels and so on. So that's very close connected on the one hand. On the other hand, the landscape has also a lot of opportunities. And it's important, that's my learning, and we have a lot of startup business around in the landscape, also digital companies in the Münsterland and so on, very successful companies, but there, and that's exactly the same, I'm sure in your company, the owners, the managers have to serve their employees very well. They have to motivate them. Yeah, you have to organize a real close teamwork and so on. And if you do that, they are all happy. And they come from different parts of the world here to these smaller villages due to these excellent team building and good governance, leadership, as it was mentioned by Consul General Evans. That's exactly what we see with a lot of so-called startup in Mittelstand in North Rhine-Westphalia. And I would like to add another idea, materials. You named materials, especially for additive manufacturing. We have here in North Rhine-Westphalia a lot of companies, smaller ones, but also very big ones, like Evonik. They are specialists in materials. And they are specialists also in additive manufacturing because they collaborate very closely with companies, as you do it in your special field, to identify opportunities where they can use additive manufacturing to optimize the production. And they deliver all what they need in special sectors, the same as you do. And what I like to add to Paderborn, because I was involved in this decision, in 2008, I was that time also member in the government and responsible for science and technology, and I had the great opportunity to negotiate this research center with University of Paderborn and with Boeing. And I remember that there were 3 places in Europe to go for Boeing. One was Paderborn. And we funded it a little bit. And I mentioned to the former German top manager of Boeing, I mentioned, if you have a better place to go in Europe, that's also okay, because then I can invest the money in another project. But if you really believe that this is the best place, please go to Paderborn. And they decided for the best place, and they stay there more than 13 years now, and they are very successful, I can say, and also happy with it. And this is also, I would say, a little bit my experience with US companies. When they come to North Rhine-Westphalia, they stay here for a very long time, like Ford Company, 3M, Johnson & Johnson, and other companies. They are here since decades. They are very successful. They stay very close to our region, to the employees. They invest here in innovation and in future opportunities. And that's what I love very much. And we are so proud to have such excellent US companies like Boeing in Paderborn and others, and also the young startup companies. And that's showing me that this partnership works very well over a long time.
So this partnership continues to work. I asked the 2 experts, how do you see the developments in 3D printing or additive manufacturing in the future? So how can you probably with your research serve the others or get a partnership, and how can you get your customers? What are the important steps you will see in the future?
So I think in the future we'll see a lot of important steps for additive manufacturing. First of all, we've been hearing about talents and about knowledge, that it's getting more and more important in this world currently. And many of the companies who are applying additive manufacturing have problems to find staff which is skilled. And over there, we're currently having all these good universities here in North Rhine-Westphalia, educating young students who will be the key to bring this technology into the industry. And if we got these skilled people knowing all about this new technology, this will be a big door opener for this technology. Furthermore, additive manufacturing is also always seen as one of these Industry 4.0 technologies, one of the core 4.0 technologies. But nevertheless, we need to put a little bit more of the other technologies into additive manufacturing so that we can simulate the processes and that we can integrate it into existing process chain and get the digital twin done in additive manufacturing. So these are some of the uptakes where we need to collaborate with the industry industry partners and the universities together.
Okay, so I learned even more individualized, cheaper, everything we can use here for our production processes in the future. Okay. What do the companies have to learn to become your customers? Now you have the chance.
No, I have the chance. So essentially, there is a sweet spot for technology, and in additive manufacturing, I do see that boutique manufacturing, that supplying parts, being it spare parts or also being new parts with new properties for small volume machinery vehicles, as being the next thing that additive manufacturing is going to capture. And that is regardless of it being the rubber spare parts that we serve or the metals that were discussed before. And that can be aerospace, but that can also be medical devices. That is, again, a market that has the right size of production lots for this technology.
I'm really fascinated by the materials that continue to be a part of it. And okay, Mr. Pinkwart, you did a lot of marketing already for this topic, so I would say. But you're right, you're absolutely right. I mean, yes, same with me. So maybe you don't want to spend the whole night with us, so therefore I come over to our next experts for the third and last panel, which is about digital logistics. Here we have online Professor Ten Hompel, Director of the Fraunhofer Institute for Material Flow and Logistics. Hopefully, I don't see him so far. And we have Lars Krause, Regional Director Operations from Amazon in Germany, which probably everybody knows. From my personal customer experience. So, but we start off with Mr. Ten Hompel. To what extent would you say that the logistics part of logistic companies are a little bit behind when it comes to the ideas? We're talking about Industry 4.0, but everybody needs logistics behind it, beside the production side. Is there a lack of speed in adoption of new technologies and digital technologies, or is everything on track?
Maybe.
Well,
I don't hear you right now.
You can't hear me?
Now everything is fine. Thanks.
Yeah, everything is fine. Now you can hear me. Okay. Let me say, logistics is a moving instance of the fourth industrial revolution. We provide all connecting elements. Let me say we are the glue of the fourth industrial revolution. If you ask me, logistics is the battleground for digitization in B2B sectors. But also, let me say, it's no longer enough for the companies to focus on their core business, especially in logistics, because the core business doesn't tap into the new forms of value creation. Digital companies like Tesla have recognized this in building not only cars, but open ecosystems. Open ecosystems are the decisive factor for the development of Industry 4.0. We're not just talking about IoT developments like we did together with Telecom, where Telecom is just producing the first 100,000 intelligent containers equipped with 5G technologies. But we need more. We need open ecosystems in which the companies share knowledge and establish their own standards. The first logistic companies are beginning to realize that it is not enough to organize the transport networks better. If we are talking about core business, we are heading in the direction of a platform economy and an internet of values, not just an internet of data, not just an internet of things. And now we are talking about the internet of values. We are talking about blockchain technologies in near future. And in near future, logistics will be platform-based and automated with AI algorithms negotiate, to monitor, to schedule, to control and calculate the supply chains. And the supply chains, as I mentioned before, is the glue, the moving instance of the fourth industrial revolution. Let me say in a simplified way, we are talking about automated negotiation. We are talking about blockchain technology. We are talking about automated and autonomous driving, autonomous logistics systems, which we are developing together with the companies here in North Rhine-Westphalia in our Fraunhofer Institute for Material Flow and Logistics, which is the biggest logistics institute in the world. And and logistics is in forefront, but not all logistic companies, because they are on the way to see that what's going on, and to see the upcoming ecosystem, the upcoming platform economy, the upcoming, we call it silicon economy.
So your institute, you mentioned it's the biggest institute of its kind. Is it only for research, or are you really putting things into practice with your partners?
Yeah, it's a Fraunhofer Institute, and that means that we are doing applied research, and that means we are bringing products into the practice. As I mentioned, the 100,000 tracker, 5G tracker systems, ultra-low power technology, which we did together with Renus, logistic company here in North Rhine-Westphalia, and the telecom.
Okay, before we do a deep dive, you mentioned blockchain, and I will come back to the Blockchain Institute. Mr. Pinkwart was involved there, very, very interesting for me.
Of course.
But before we go over to Mr. Krause first, because we talked about platform economy. One company that probably changed our life when it comes to ordering process of usability with one click buying and so on, then Amazon is of course the name. And Amazon put many standards when it comes to how fast something is, so therefore it's also a logistic company. How will it continue? What can I expect as a customer? Even faster? Is it then, are there the drones in a couple of years, or what will be there?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's glad for me to hear that you're a customer who enjoys being with us. So always happy and always listening to our customers. As you may know, that we strive to be a most customer-centric company. So therefore, it's a must for us to also invent new technologies and to drive our mission of invent and simplify. So for sure, we are looking into technologies like artificial technology, like machine learning, like computer vision. We're working together with many external partners, also like the Aachen Development Center and the university over there. So by the way, this is the area, or this is the space where Alexa learned the German language and is still learning some of the dialects there. Yeah, therefore a lot of things are coming. So for example, digitalization for sure helps us to drive good decisions, to develop good tools, to make sure that we're also developing ourselves in the area of sustainability, for example, to place inventory the closest to the customer, and to at least learn from what the customer is telling us.
Yeah, and you did a combination out of many fields of businesses, I would say, that set the standard. Okay, I'm a customer, but I also tell my the other companies, hey guys, the race is on. What is the standard on my smartphone? I expect from everybody, and this is exactly what the competition in the digitally connected world is all about. Mr. Pinkwart, if you take Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the founder, once said, Mr. Tentompe told me this, that he said, we are a logistic company. But I would say, okay, Amazon is at least also an artificial intelligence company and a retail company, online and offline. So a huge, multiple, big player of many industries we don't see over here. So how can we bring this together, this combination, to build platforms among, you mentioned Mittelstand, which means we have really huge mid-sized companies. We don't have so many really big companies, but lots of mid-sized companies. In other countries, there would be big players. But they all have to come together to do the same, or to manage the same customer experience like companies like Amazon showed us. What can we do there?
Yeah, it's interesting to learn that medium-sized companies, the so-called hidden champion, we have a lot of them. Worldwide, there are 3,200 hidden champion. In Germany, 50% of them, and so 1,500, and we have around 500 here in North Rhine-Westphalia. So we are a real hub of hidden champion in the hidden regions. Very, very successful companies. And let me give you an example. There's a company, Beckhoff, in the near of Gütersloh, very close to Paderborn, in the Ostwestfalen-Lippe region, as we name it. And 10 years ago, they had 1,300 employees. Today, they have 4,300 employees, and they are drivers of the Industry 4.0 worldwide. And they stay very close to the companies, to their customers. They are very close to new technologies, and they build motherboards here in Gütersloh, not in other parts of the world, Asia, something like that. They build it here. They have here the excellent employees, well-skilled, very close link to the universities. And this is an example of a lot of other companies very closely linked to our universities, to Professor Ten Hompel. He, from my perspective, is one of the fathers of Industry 4.0 and the Pope of logistics, with the worldwide biggest research lab for logistics. And what he did in Dortmund is really great. 10, 12 years ago, 14 years ago, he designed autonomous-driven transportation vehicles for warehousing. And I could see them, and they work very well. And now BMW and other companies are using it, and I'm sure also Amazon use systems like this, invented in Dortmund, in our Fraunhofer lab. And last time, when I visited Professor Ten Hompel, I saw a lot of drones, well organized in a chaotic way, I would say, but well organized to invent the warehousing system for the future. And I'm sure this is also relevant for Amazon and other companies. So I think that is a little bit the German way of innovation, that we can be focused on special technologies and special fields, and that we can use this as our contribution to innovation worldwide. And the second I want to add is that also, and I'm very grateful for saying that the Fraunhofer Institutes in Dortmund, also closely linked to Professor Ten Hompel and others, work on the field of Gaia X and other opportunities to build up a European platform where also these Mittelstands companies, the hidden champion, can be interrelated, interlinked, can use a common platform to share also their data much better, because this is a real difference for medium-sized companies and a global company like Amazon, that they have not so many data which you can use. So it is a necessary equipment for us that Mittelstand has to cooperate, has to share knowledge with others. And there we build up B2B platforms. And there our nice scientists and practitioners from Fraunhofer are excellent partners in that field, that we can use our data from Industry 4.0 much better to offer innovative products for our customers worldwide also in future.
Mr. Krause, Amazon has invested a lot in North Rhine-Westphalia in the last decade. Also money and structure and partnerships. What can we expect? Well, first, why, especially over here? And, and what can we expect in the future? More corporations or more investments?
Yeah, I think we have heard that the North Rhine-Westphalia is a very nice place to be, right? So, and if you pin right in the middle of Europe, you will find yourself somewhere around Dortmund or Kreis Unna. Therefore, we came back in 2010 to the decision to launch a fulfillment center in North Rhine-Westphalia. For sure, I was part of 4 person team to launch the first fulfillment center. So therefore, I'm here for more than 10 years. And I'm very happy to be here because North Rhine-Westphalia is really supporting the innovation, as we said. So currently, our main focus area is sustainability. You may know that we co-founded the Climate Pledge, where a lot of companies already joined us. So it's more than 50 companies already, also big players. And therefore, we're striving or we're investing a lot in, for example, e-mobility to reduce our carbon footprint and to reduce CO2. So our target is to be CO2 emission-free until the end of 2040. That's 10 years ahead of the Paris Climate Agreement. So therefore, we do have a lot of vehicles here, the e-mobile vehicles for the deliveries. In the area of Essen, for example, we have more than 800 vehicles here in North Rhine-Westphalia. We invested a lot in charging areas together with our partners, for sure. We just recently ordered more than 1,800 new e-vans from Daimler for the European market. And you will for sure see more with regards to sustainability from Amazon in the near future, especially in North Rhine-Westphalia. And another project I'd like to mention is also the logistics hub in Dortmund, where we're working together with CAP suppliers and also with the Fraunhofer Institute to see how we can get an emission-free city center. So it's about cargo bicycles, e-bicycles, and so on.
Okay, cooperation everywhere. And now let's go into the, yeah, this is the big topic. I think new ways of cooperation. This is what we need. If you have a structural change, like coming from the industrial age to the digitally connected age. Professor Ten Hompel, when we talked before, you were really, it was fascinating for me to see that you have already a blockchain institute. Could you please explain to me, because blockchain is, I think, one of the technologies that has lots of promises, but it's not also really tangible for many of us. So in the field of logistics, what can a blockchain do there, and how far are we in that?
We are very proud that we have established our European Blockchain Institute some months ago, founded by Minister Pinkwart and his Ministry of Economics. What we are doing there is to create, as I mentioned before, an ecosystem for logistics and supply chain management. And our goal is not just to develop single devices like our blockchain device or single functionalities. It's necessary to create an ecosystem where the single entities are able to negotiate autonomously to each other and to their brokers, to their platforms, to their clouds. And therefore, you need a lot of new technology. The most of this kind of software comes from the United States, of course. And we do a lot of common developments, not just for blockchain technologies, but also for physical devices like the bikes and AGVs, together with our friends from Georgia Tech and so on, and in the States. And most of these developments are based on open source. And I think that's also a very decisive aspect for our common global and especially transatlantic development. Our communities, our software communities, working together based on open source, more and more and more. But also the industrial systems are also based on open source. And this is one of our goals in our European Blockchain Institute, to create an open source basis to go a real step forward to standardize, but also to keep data sovereignty and to create this new kind of, especially logistic systems.
Okay. Mr. Krause, also blockchain the big topic for the future or something else?
Well, as said, so we're working closely together with the Institute of Aachen. So blockchain is for sure something we are looking into together with the other developments. So it's one of the areas we are looking into.
Okay. Really?
We just started in this region of Aachen and Heinsberg, if I may say that, a blockchain real laboratory where we interact with universities, also the cities and companies to exchange these technologies for different uses. And we work together with Professor Ten Hompel and our British friends due to our Brexit challenges for logistic companies also to use, hopefully, the blockchain technology for our delivery papers, that we can substitute it by using these technologies and make it much easier to handle the new customers' challenges which we now face by the Brexit. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for our companies in that field, but also for villages, for households, also for universities and schools, that we can use blockchain for digital certificates, which we can exchange between schools and universities, so make it paperless, and so on. So a lot of nice projects are around.
Hopefully fast.
Yeah,
I would say.
fast.
I'm pretty sure our audience will look up a map of North Rhine-Westphalia, Heinsberg, Unna, Paderborn. And the good story is that
Center in Paderborn as well.
okay, yeah,
It's a famous
Amazon's
city.
everywhere, I guess. In this case, and but also personally, you told me you are from Berlin, and it doesn't hurt to live over here, right?
By the way, from the American sector in Berlin. So,
So whoa. But there was not a condition to work there, right?
But in the Silicon Valley, you find also a lot of nice cities and villages and so on. But it's only one region.
Okay, guys, we're running a little bit of time because, as I said, we could talk whole night. Thank you very much so far for the special panels and Professor Ten Hompel and Ms. Pesci. You are still online, hopefully, so we have some questions we could talk about for a couple of minutes, and so we want to give you the audience the opportunity to answer. So I have the first question here to Priscilla Pesci. From Quake. You are joining us from LA. How do you feel about Germany right now? How does Germany stand? Is there a difference in perception between the East Coast and the West Coast? Okay. I'm also interested to hear that.
The East and West Coast of the United States or in Germany?
Yeah, of course. Okay, interesting question, yeah.
No, I, again, have been very excited about particularly the bridge between the US and Germany. And I think the collaboration between innovation between engineering and new ideas and technology is intriguing. And I think very collaborative. And I think as business progresses, the international equation of collaboration is far more important. And I think that the combination of the partners that we had, like Deutsche Telekom and RTL and Huprom, and with amazing experts in their field, created a win-win scenario that I think is an effective business model that we can look towards. If you're talking about the coasts in the US, I would say I'm from the East Coast and live on the West Coast. They are vastly different. So yes, I'd be happy to discuss that. Very, very different environments. But I think that at Quake, we're looking really at a global opportunity, a global equation, and a collaboration that really brings together the best and brightest minds. And I think that's something that we can continue to strive for.
So we're just coming together, closer than ever. So do we have another question? Let me see. I'm pretty happy that I have my glasses, did not forget it. To all of the participants, we have heard a lot today about the innovative power of North Rhine-Westphalia and Germany and the USA. We did not talk about China and other Asian countries. And yeah, doesn't Germany and Europe have to be an important partner to the US to stand up against the emerging economic power from Asia? Question. Who wants to answer? I think everybody can be asked. What do you think? Yeah, the question is right. We talked a bit about this partnership. So the more politically global context, maybe to the politician? I don't know.
I think that we have identified this nice approach to organize this Transatlantic Conference on future innovation. I think that's an excellent example how we can stay strong also in future. What we learned also here from our region is collaboration. We have to come closer, we have to exchange much faster, we have to work on common projects, and then I'm sure, capable to stay in forefront. We know that the United States of America is a real global power nation in technology, in innovation, and that's great. And I'm sure the US will stay very powerful also in the future. And we in Europe, we have only a good future when we try to scale up, that we collaborate, that we exchange. And I think for this partnership, this transatlantic partnership, we have now a lot of new opportunities in different fields on the new mega trends, not only digitization, also the climate issues. A lot of opportunities where we can come together, where we identify new opportunities, and then we love competition. Especially our American friends love competition. That's what we have learned from America. To love open-minded competition and let us stay in a peaceful way, a very competitive way, some case co-opetition, but in some way also real competition, also with our business partners in Asia. What from my perspective is important is that we have a fair level playing field. That's important. If we discuss open markets, then all partners have to make sure that we have open markets and that we have fair rules for others. That's what we have to work on. And we have to also make clear that we are value-based in what we are doing and that we stay for our values. Maybe others have other values, but we have to stay for our values and that we have also to be committed to our values. I think that's also very important. And that's exactly what we tell our partners worldwide. And if we do so, I'm very optimistic that the West has big opportunities in the future, but we have also to invest in our capabilities. We have to make sure that we have the best schools in the world. If we don't invest in best education, how should we stand forward in the next 10 or 15 years? We have to make sure that we have the best universities. Excellence is important. Competition there is also important. And that we have to make sure that we have the best industries, and then we have to give them also the environment, the ecosystem, also taxation and other conditions have to be in a way organized that we can compete with other places around the world. So we shouldn't say that we have to fear something. We have to strengthen something more, and then we can compete also in the future. That's my perspective.
And competition is, of course, something you don't choose. You are in, if you want to or not. So therefore, yeah. But Professor Den Humpel also mentioned it's also it's a complex system because we are also talking about values and the competition we're in. So it would be a challenge for all parts of the world. And I would say our last question, really interesting, because we were talking about 5G. And the question is already, what is with the new upcoming technology standard 6G and which year will it start? Actually, I asked myself, when will 5G change my life, my daily life? But we're talking about 6G. Who wants to answer? I think I'm looking to my right side.
Thank you very much. Indeed, 5G is really at the beginning. That's also the beauty of our industry. We don't stop. We continue to innovate. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it's very much standard that every 10 years, a new generation will come in. And there will be a sixth generation. I mean, if we are waiting, then somebody else will define this standard for us. And it's very important in our view in Deutsche Telekom that Europe needs to have a leading role in defining this 6th generation standard. And that's why we're taking also the lead together with our other operator partners and other industries to say, hey, what do we want in the 6th generation, which most likely will come in the time frame of 2030s or slightly earlier than that. And there will be some cornerstones that we will put already. For example, sustainability. We need to make sure the next generation mobile network technology is much more power efficient and leaving much less carbon footprint than it does today. And that's one of the points. And second, we need to utilize resources that are not utilized today in terms of spectrum, frequency, without hurting other industries. And a third, we need to make sure this is affordable, accessible, and also enabling the wider industry ecosystem. And that's exactly going to be the focus of our 6th generation. And again, that's the beauty of our industry. We don't stop. 5G is in its infancy, but we will continue to develop 5G, but also Europe needs to have a leading role in defining 6G, and we are there together defining it.
So let me ask you the question. 5G is how many times faster than 4G?
So it depends on the frequency, 10 times.
Okay, and then 6G, what is that? Warp speed,
well,
or what is it?
You know, I think my vision and hope will be that we don't count on the speed and we get out of this speed game, because if we are fair, we're talking about the peak speed. The peak speed, if you have in the cell only one person, then that person gets the speed. But we need to make sure that the wider population have the best performance. And that's exactly should be the focus. So I don't want to speculate that it will be 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times faster. If it's only for 1%, that doesn't help. So we need to make sure that we have connectivity that's usable, that's much faster and affordable for everyone.
Okay, so I would say, because we are already talked for more than an hour, which was very, very interesting, at least for me, I hope for you also. And I guess that everybody here would have a wish list, but I also would ask you for what can you contribute, because everything is about cooperation and this new, in the struggle for shaping this new digitally connected world. But we have time later on, probably after this conference, maybe you do on the next conference. And I would say thank you very much right now to all my panelists here on location. And Ms. Pesci and Mr. Tenompe, next time, please be here. I'm looking really forward to that. But the world is digitally connected, I know, but I'm really also a fan of smelling the same air, tasting the same food, and seeing you in person, because we stay human beings. And this is the best message I can give you. Besides all technology, the human beings and values and all of the things will become the most productive and most important factor in this digitally connected world. This is my personal opinion. So, thanks again, and I hand over to Felix again.
Thank you, Clemens. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you agree with me that this was a great evening or great morning for our American friends. We had a very compelling discussion, and I at least personally have learned a lot about our 3 focus sectors: 5G, additive manufacturing, and logistics, the many opportunities, some challenges, the potential for transatlantic cooperation, and of course, the huge opportunities that NRW, North Rhine-Westphalia, is offering in each of these sectors, and not only in these sectors, but beyond the many hidden champions we have here, the large number of startups, or the dense research network. And as I promised in the beginning, this is a kick-off event, an opening move. We will continue on this track to explore the potential for innovation in transatlantic relations between North Rhine-Westphalia and the United States of America. For today, please let me thank our panelists again. Thank you for, I think, a very dense, a very thoughtful discussion. Let me especially thank our moderator, Clemens Skibitzky, for a very lively moderation, and of course also Professor Pinkwart, our minister, for being with us all throughout all the evening, taking part in each and every discussion and highlighting the huge opportunities we offer here in North Rhine-Westphalia. And of course, last but by no means least, let me thank you, our viewers, our guests tonight. Thank you for having spent this night or this morning with us, and I hope to see you again soon at one of our events, soon digitally, but also, and I agree with Professor Skibitsky, the physical events have something in addition to offer, so probably soon also maybe in the framework of the transatlantic trip planned by the minister in a physical event. Until then, stay healthy and stay happy. All the best.